right, so you've decided to go SLR for your streams and your calls. These are the two questions you need to ask when choosing an SLR. So you look amazing and you want your amazing beauty to be translated in all its glory over a camera, over the web. Or perhaps you butt ugly and you need a camera to help you look a little bit better. Or maybe somewhere in the middle. Let's just put you somewhere in the middle, shall we? So there's a million ways to help you look good. The biggest way is to invest in good quality glass. It's to put a lens in front of you that flatters you, that makes you look fantastic, that makes you look glorious. Now, there are two options when it comes to working with a camera. Option one is a webcam. Option two is an SLR. Let's discuss. So option one is a webcam. It's just using a webcam. I don't knock webcams, but if you're going to use a webcam, you better have some good lighting. You better mount it at a level that makes it look flattering. You better have a room that you can control the lights of. Done right, a webcam can kind of work. Here's a photo. This is my buddy Dennis. This is actually his setup. He's using his MacBook. His MacBook is set up a little bit high, so it kind of keeps an angle that keeps him looking good. But let's face it, he's already a handsome beast, so that kind of helps to start with. So kind of doable with a webcam. Just remember that you need to be able to control the light when you're using a webcam. I highly recommend using an external webcam, not the one that's built in your laptop. That way you can control the height of it. That way it's probably got better sensors on it so you get better quality video. The go-to these days is the Logitech C920e. It's the go-to webcam. Webcams really haven't changed in the last like 400 or so years, but there's a great video down below that I'll link to that'll show you how to use the Logitech C920e and some good lights to kind of get reasonable results. There are problems with webcams, which is why the SLR solves those problems, which is why the SLR is what we kind of go to when you want to look next level. Okay, first problem is webcams are really fussy when it comes to light. If you want to look good in all kinds of light, if you want to look good when it's dim, you want to look good when the light's changing, you want to look good when you've got lights in the background, a webcam doesn't have the latitude of exposure and the ISO settings and all those sort of good things that help you control the light. So that's the first thing webcam's not going to do for you. The second thing your webcam's not going to do for you is allow you to change your focal length. So with an SLR, you can look like this, you can look like this, you can look like this, you can autofocus like this, you can have full control over what your lens sees. If you want to change lenses and do other lenses, you can totally do that. There is so many options with what your videos can look like and what the quality of your production could look like when you have a lens that you can bring in and out, when you have a lens that you can zoom, when you can have lenses that you can replace with any lens almost in the world. That's a massive value proposition for why an SLR works. And an SLR will put your content on the SLR itself. So if you want to record remotely, no problems. You don't have to keep it plugged into a computer. If you want to record anywhere you want to record, your SLR will go with you, but it'll also have an SD card so you can always record with you. And many SLRs have like a flip-up LCD screen. That way you get to see your beautiful face while you're recording. If you're roaming, you get to see what you're recording. And even if you're on a call, that way you can keep eye contact with your lens and still see what you look like and whether you're framed. They're kind of the big value propositions of the SLR. Just remember, the webcam has not really changed much over the years. And if you look at them, and if you haven't looked at a webcam in a long time, you probably haven't really missed much. Webcams are still what they always used to be with slightly better tech. All right, so SLRs. What do we look for in an SLR? There are two big questions that we ask when looking into an SLR to plug into our PCs and our Macs. Those two big questions are, is the image coming out of it going to be clean? And will it stay powered? They're the two things you need to ask. I'm pretty sure webcams are powered. Yeah, but they don't always stay powered the whole time. I'll explain in a minute. So SLRs were never designed to output to a computer. For the most part, SLRs that were designed to roam around with batteries being able to take photos. So the back of your LCD usually looks like this. You've got focus rings, you've got levels, you've got things telling you what's happening. And a lot of SLRs were never designed to do anything more than have that on the back screen. What you care about is clean image out, whether that's going through a webcam or that's going through a HDMI out. You want clean HDMI out. So you want to make sure that your camera can remove all of the stuff when it HDMIs out. So on my Canon, I can literally do that, switch over to clean HDMI out and go back And now we have a clean image. And actually, if you look at my camera there, it's still doing all the metering, it's doing all the fantastic work, but my output is clean. My output is clean. So make sure you Google clean HDMI out, clean image out, and the camera you want to buy to make sure it will do a clean image out and you're not mucking around with all the display stuff on top of the camera itself. So the second consideration is power. SLRs were never designed to be stationary. They were designed to roam. They have batteries. They're energy efficient. They were never designed to kind of sit still, particularly most consumer SLRs. We now need to think about that differently. We want an SLR that can have AC power, you know, like from a PowerPoint, and you want it to stay on. You want it to stay on for as long as you need it to stay on. How do we do that? And how do we look out for cameras that can do that? So this is how I do it with my Canon M6 Mark II. I have a dummy battery. So this dummy battery, it plugs into the back of the camera where the battery normally goes, and then a cable runs and it runs into an AC adapter into the PowerPoint, and now your camera is always powered, and it costs peanuts to do. I think the translation of peanut to money is like 30 bucks. I think I paid 30 bucks on eBay for my coupler for my SLR. So that's one good way to get power to run full time. You want to make sure your camera supports it to run full time so you're never running out of battery. Some SLRs, not many, but some SLRs will be powered by the USB cable. Don't be confused if your SLR has USB or even has USB power. Most cameras with USB power, including my M6 Mark II, the USB power will charge the camera, but not necessarily run the camera. So you need to invest in something like a coupler that will keep the battery running, that will keep the camera running at all times. So that's it. They're the two big considerations when it comes to choosing an SLR. Will it stay on and stay powered indefinitely? Will it have a clean image out? So you thought that was it. No, it's never that complicated. It's even more complicated. Now that you've got a camera with a clean image out and power that can run indefinitely, you need to think about how to get that image into your computer. There are two ways. Of course there are two ways. Why isn't there ever just one way to do something? The first and easiest way is to get a camera that supports a webcam driver. Canon does it, Nikon does it, Sony does it, GoPro even does it, Panasonic now does it as well. Get a camera that has a webcam driver so you can have the USB out of your camera and it goes straight into your PC via a USB cable. You install the drivers on your computer and you're good to go. Your camera is now a webcam on your machine. That's option one. Option two is to take the HDMI signal out of your camera, plug that through a HDMI cable to a capture device that plugs into your USB port, and then that shows up as a webcam. There are options to do this with. There's the Elgato Cam Link, which is one big option. There's a full-blown switcher setup, which is like my A10 Mini. This used to be an expensive exercise, right? Like being able to encode and take that HDMI signal is an expensive exercise. Like the Elgato Cam Link is a couple $100 device. But now you can get a device like this bad boy. So this guy, again, for the price of peanuts, HDMI, USB on one end, and HDMI on the other end, and literally it takes your HDMI out and will convert that into a USB webcam for your computer. That device, this thing cost me like 30 bucks. Again, more peanuts, 30 bucks to do. So you can take the HDMI signal out of your camera and plug that straight into your computer. Which of these two options makes the most amount of sense? If you have a camera that already does any of this stuff, if you have a camera that does a webcam out, or you have a camera that does a HDMI clean out, then use that camera. And if you need an encoder on the end to plug into your webcam, then grab one of these guys, grab an Elgato Stream Deck, grab a full-blown mixer like my setup over here. Or if it has a webcam driver for it, I've got a link down below that'll give you kind of places to look for to see what your camera is capable of, the one that you're thinking of. But what are the pros and cons of each? All right, so webcam driver, pros, pretty easy. Cheap, doesn't cost you anything extra but a USB cable. Pretty easy, you just plug it in and you kind of go. Webcam driver is a little bit taxing on your computer, but that's kind of not too big a deal. The cons of a webcam driver is a lot of them don't support audio. I know Canon's one doesn't, so you won't get audio through the camera. You'll have to find audio elsewhere. You'll only get one input. So if you decide to scale at some point and you want to have, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 cameras or 2 cameras or 2 HDMI devices, you now have to run multiple webcam inputs. It becomes messy. So you can scale later and plug it into a switcher and then have more options because you're using HDMI out instead of just USB out. Might not be a big deal for you, but that's kind of a downside of using a webcam driver. When it comes to HDMI out, pros are, it's actually pretty cheap these days to be able to take a HDMI signal into a computer. That's a pro. Its versatility is a pro. You can again use it for anywhere you wanted to use it, and you can use it on multiple devices later and multiple switches later. So you can scale with your investment if you do HDMI out. The cons are it does require additional hardware. It does require you to think a little bit harder about it. The cons are your camera might not already support clean HDMI out. Cameras are changing at a rapid rate, so just keep that in mind. Anytime you go to buy, things will change. Within 12 months from now, I guarantee you there will be cameras on the market that dramatically do this stuff better than they used to. 3 or 4 years ago, almost no camera did at the consumer level did the kind of quality HDMI out that we need to do this kind of work. I've deliberately not suggested cameras. I've deliberately wanted to educate you on the kinds of things you should be looking out for. The power that runs indefinitely, the auto power off, so make sure it doesn't auto power off, coupling devices that will allow you to power yourself, clean images out, whether that's via a webcam feed or whether that's via a HDMI out. These are the things that will empower you to make your own choices. This world is moving really, really fast. Webcams haven't changed in the last like 400 bazillion years. Cameras have in the last year alone. The big camera manufacturers are starting to realize that this use case is a very popular use case. It's becoming an extremely popular use cases, especially with corporates going online and doing the streaming kind of stuff, and all the cool kids doing their Twitches and their streams as well. So cameras are changing rapidly in this space. But I will suggest a camera or two that I know do a fantastic job. I'm using the Canon M6 Mark II, which is like a $1,800 camera. It's way overkill, but it gives a pretty good result. There is another camera in the range, in Canon's range, that does a fantastic job for like half that price. It's like a $700 camera. It's the Canon M200. The Canon M200 has exactly the same lens that I'm using here. It runs a clean HDMI out. It will run a USB webcam driver as well. It can run on an LP E17 battery, which means you can get a coupler for it pretty easily. I think I paid 25 bucks for my older one. It also comes with the same lens that I'm using over here, so that's pretty good. And it costs like 700 bucks. So that's a great option for on the Sony world. If on the Canon world, if you have a Sony bias, the Sony A6100 and the A6400, which is like a $1,600 camera versus the 6100, which is like a $1,000 camera, they're in the same kind of league. So that's 2 cameras you can look at. There are plenty of options, and there are increasingly plenty of options, but you're looking for ones that will do a clean HDMI out and that will do power without running out of power. So that will do power indefinitely, whether it's through a coupler or through a USB cable. All right, so hopefully you found that useful. If you did, please like, please subscribe, please share with somebody you like, please share with somebody you care about. Please send chocolates if you found it useful. If you didn't find it useful, no problemo. Please comment down below and let me know what was wrong, what was right, what you found good, what you didn't find good. Feedback's a gift. There are links in the description down below to a lot of the camera websites, the Sony, the Canon, and the Panasonic, that'll tell you what cameras are theirs, support HDMI out, what cameras are theirs, support USB webcam drivers. That is it from me. Bye! Subscribe!